Okay, wow, this is really great. This is actually a fantastic example of how you should be creating your own reusable components in your React applications. We have here this data table component, and this component is designed to be reusable, and it's very well engineered. Here are the props that this component receives, and it only receives two props. It receives here the data, which is of type T, which is a TypeScript generic, and then an array of columns, which is of type column, that you also pass the T into it. And then directly, what we're doing with this component is we're taking these props and we're directly passing it to other components that we created to follow the single responsibility principle, which means that every component should ideally only do one thing and delegate everything else to other components and custom hooks. And this is a great example of that. We're doing this with the table header, and we're also doing this for each individual row that we're rendering based on the data. Then if you go here to table header, this receives the columns as props, just one prop, it's super simple, and then renders out the actual columns, which is great to see. Then we have the table row component, which does the same thing. It just takes an individual row and then the columns, and then for each one renders the custom table cell component and passes it the props that it needs. And then we have the table cell component, our last component, which just receives a value over here and then a custom render function, which comes from the column, and then just renders out that value in the correct way as it's supposed to. And with this, you essentially have a component that's super highly organized and also very easy to use.